The courtroom at Providence Family Court fell into absolute silence when Sophie Chen walked to the witness stand. 16 years old, with dark circles under her eyes and a tremor in her hands that medication couldn't quite control, she looked smaller than her age. She wore a simple sweater, long sleeves that covered the scars on her wrists from 8 days earlier, when doctors had pumped her stomach and saved her life. Her parents, James and Lily Chen, sat in the front row. James, a software engineer, gripped his wife's hand so tightly his knuckles were white. Lily, a research scientist, hadn't stopped crying since they'd entered the courtroom. They'd almost lost their only daughter. The nightmare of finding her unconscious on her bedroom floor, the bottle of pills empty beside her, still haunted them every single day. Across the aisle sat Ashley Preston, 17 years old, daughter of prominent defense attorney Robert Preston. Ashley wore a carefully chosen outfit, a modest dress, minimal makeup, hair pulled back in a demure ponytail. She looked like every parent's dream daughter. She'd been coached well. Her expression was somber, even remorseful, but her eyes told a different story. They held calculation, not compassion. Behind her sat 3 attorneys from Preston and Associates, her father's firm. Robert Preston himself led the defense, his 2500 suit perfectly pressed, his Rolex glinting under the courtroom lights. The message was clear. Money and power would win this case, just like they'd won everything else in Ashley's life. But they hadn't met Judge Frank Caprio yet. Before we dive into what happened in that courtroom, if you believe in justice and want to support a new channel dedicated to sharing these powerful stories, please hit that subscribe button and like this video. Every subscription helps us bring more of Judge Caprio's wisdom to light. Judge Caprio entered, and everyone rose. At 79, with 37 years on the bench, he'd presided over thousands of juvenile cases. But the file before him today, marked Case Number 224 JV 4429, had kept him awake the previous night, reading and rereading the evidence. What he'd found had shaken him to his core. "This court is now in session," he said quietly. "Case number 2024 JV 4429, the People versus Ashley Marie Preston. Charges include cyberstalking, criminal harassment, and reckless endangerment resulting in attempted suicide." Robert Preston stood immediately. "Your Honor, before we begin, I must object to the characterization of this case. My client is a 17-year-old honor student with a 4.1 GPA and 78,000 followers on social media who has been accepted to 3 Ivy League universities. What occurred was unfortunate teenage drama that escalated due to the alleged victim's pre-existing mental health vulnerabilities. This is not a criminal matter. This is a case of adolescent conflict being weaponized by parents seeking financial compensation." Judge Caprio's expression didn't change. "Mr. Preston, you'll have your opportunity to present your case. Right now, I'd like to hear from the Chen family. Mrs. Chen, tell me what happened." Lily Chen stood, her voice shaking. "Your Honor, Sophie started at Eastside Academy in September of last year. She was nervous. It was her first time in an American school. We immigrated from Taiwan when she was 12, and she'd been homeschooled while learning English. We thought high school would help her make friends. For the first few weeks, everything seemed fine," James added. "Then in October, Sophie started coming home upset. She said some girls were making fun of her accent, her clothes, the food in her lunch. We told her to ignore it, that bullies lose interest if you don't react. We didn't know." His voice broke. Lily continued. "In November, Sophie stopped eating. She lost 15 pounds in 3 weeks. She stopped sleeping. We'd hear her crying in her room at night, When we asked what was wrong, she said she was fine. But she wasn't fine. She was dying inside and we didn't know. What made you realize the severity? Caprio asked gently. Her phone, Lily said. On March 12th, I went to wake Sophie for school. She wouldn't get up. She was just lying there, staring at the ceiling, tears running down her face. Her phone was in her hand. I took it from her, and I saw... She sobbed. Hundreds of messages, thousands, all telling her to die, to kill herself, that she was worthless, ugly, that nobody wanted her alive. She pulled out a folder with trembling hands. I printed some of them. Your Honor, there were over 2,700 messages across 7 months. 2,700 times my daughter was told she should die. Judge Caprio took the folder. As he read, his expression grew darker with each page. Jump off a bridge, nobody would care. Do the world a favor and end it. You're so ugly, death would be an improvement. Kill yourself, whale. Your parents would be happier without you. He looked up. These messages came from multiple accounts. Yes, Your Honor, James said. We counted 5 different accounts, all sending the same types of messages, all targeting our daughter. Little did anyone know what the investigation would reveal. On March 14th, Lily continued, her voice barely a whisper. Sophie came home from school and went straight to her room. She didn't come down for dinner. I went to check on her around 8 o'clock, and she was... Her voice broke completely. James took over. She'd taken a bottle of my blood pressure medication, 30 pills. She left a note. It said, I'm sorry I wasn't strong enough. Everyone's right. The world is better without me. We called 911. The paramedics said if we'd found her 10 minutes later, she would have died. Sophie spent 8 days in psychiatric intensive care at Rhode Island Hospital, Lily said. She had to be restrained because when she woke up and realized she'd survived, she tried to hurt herself again. 8 days, Your Honor. Our baby wanted to die so badly that surviving felt like a punishment to her. The courtroom was absolutely silent. Sophie is here today, Caprio said. Sophie, are you able to tell us what happened? Sophie walked to the witness stand slowly, as if each step required enormous effort. When she spoke, her voice was so soft, the court reporter had to ask her to speak up. It started in October, she began. Ashley Preston invited me to sit with her group at lunch. I was so happy. I thought I'd made friends. But it was a trick. They recorded me trying to speak English, laughing when I mispronounced words. They posted it online with captions like, "When your dog tries to talk," and translate this gibberish. After that, the messages started. At first, just a few, then more, then hundreds. Every time I checked my phone, there were more. They came from accounts with names like Sophie the Whale and Kill Sophie Chen, an ugly Asian loser. They said I was fat, ugly, stupid. They said I should go back to China, even though I'm from Taiwan. They said my parents must be ashamed of me. Her hands shook as she pulled out her phone. I saved them all. I didn't know what else to do. I thought if I just endured it, it would stop. But it never stopped. It got worse. In January, someone, I didn't know who then, edited photos of me into pornographic images and sent them to the whole school. 600 students saw pictures of my face on naked bodies in disgusting poses. Boys I'd never met messaged me asking for sex. Teachers looked at me differently. I couldn't go to school without people laughing. If Judge Caprio's compassion moves you like it moves millions of others, show your support by subscribing to our channel. We're just starting out, and your subscription means everything. Then, in February, Sophie continued, her voice breaking, someone created an Instagram poll. The question was, should Sophie Chen kill herself? There were two options, yes or no. Your Honor, 87% voted yes. 523 people said I should die. The courtroom gasped. Several people in the gallery were crying. I begged them to stop, Sophie said. I sent a message to one of the accounts. I said I was having thoughts about hurting myself, and I begged them to please stop. You know what they wrote back? She showed her phone to the judge. Caprio read aloud. Do it. Nobody would miss you. You'd be doing everyone a favor. His face had gone pale. Every day was torture, Sophie whispered. When I woke up, the messages were there. At school, people laughed. At home, the messages kept coming. I couldn't escape. I couldn't breathe. The whole world hated me, and I didn't know why. I didn't do anything wrong. I just existed, and that was enough for them to want me dead. And on March 14th? Caprio asked gently. That day there was an assembly at school. Someone had made a slideshow. The worst of Sophie Chen. Pictures of me with cruel captions. Videos of me edited to make me look stupid. They played it on the auditorium screen in front of everyone. 600 students laughing at me. Teachers didn't stop it. Security didn't stop it. It played for 3 full minutes. I went home and I couldn't stop shaking. I couldn't stop crying. The messages kept coming. Did you enjoy your show? That's what you deserve. Just die already. I thought about my parents, how they'd sacrificed everything to bring me to America, and all I'd done was bring them shame. I thought everyone would be happier without me. So I took the pills. I didn't want to die, Your Honor. I just didn't want to live in that nightmare anymore. The silence in the courtroom was deafening. Judge Caprio looked at Ashley Preston. Ms. Preston, do you have anything to say? Ashley stood, her expression carefully arranged into contrition. Your Honor, I deeply regret what happened to Sophie. But I need to be honest. What occurred was online stuff, not real life. Teenagers can be cruel, and I participated in some teasing, which I regret. But I didn't force Sophie to make the choice she made. I didn't know she was so sensitive. Sensitive? Sophie's mother stood suddenly. My daughter almost died. Mrs. Chen, please, Caprio said calmly. Ms. Preston, you're saying this was just online stuff? Your Honor, Robert Preston interjected. The suicide attempt was Sophie's choice, not my client's action. Correlation is not causation. Sophie clearly had pre-existing mental health issues. Mr. Preston, Caprio interrupted, his voice hard. I've reviewed the psychiatric evaluation. Dr. Martinez, would you summarize your findings? A woman in her 50s stood. Your Honor, I'm Dr. Elena Martinez, Chief Psychiatrist at Rhode Island Hospital. I evaluated Sophie during and after her hospitalization. Prior to October of last year, Sophie had no history of mental illness, no depression, no anxiety, no suicidal ideation. The trauma she experienced was directly and exclusively caused by the systematic harassment she endured. Systematic harassment, Caprio repeated. Not teenage drama? Absolutely not. What Sophie experienced was psychological torture. The relentlessness, the inescapability, the public humiliation. These are techniques used to break prisoners of war. Sophie was subjected to this for 7 months straight. The suicide attempt was not a choice made in freedom. It was the result of deliberate, sustained psychological destruction. What the judge discovered next shocked everyone in the courtroom. I've also reviewed the evidence provided by the district attorney's cybercrimes unit, Caprio said, holding up a thick folder. Detective Williams, please explain what you found. A detective in plain clothes stood. Your Honor, we seized Ashley Preston's laptop, phone, and tablet pursuant to a warrant. What we discovered was extensive and disturbing. Ashley Preston created 5 separate fake Instagram accounts between October and March. The accounts were Sophie the Whale, Kill Sophie, Chen, Ugly Asian Loser, Chen Needs to Die, and Anonymous Truth Teller. From these accounts, she sent 2,142 messages to Sophie Chen over 7 months. That's an average of 13 messages per day, every single day, for 7 months. The courtroom erupted in shocked whispers. Furthermore, the detective continued, we found a journal on her laptop titled Operation Destroy Sophie. In this document, Ashley detailed her plans to make Sophie's life so miserable she either leaves the school or ends it. She documented each action, the lunch incident, the poll, the pornographic images, with notes about Sophie's reactions. One entry reads, Sophie cried in the bathroom today. Phase 2 complete. Ashley's face had gone white. Her father whispered urgently to her, but she sat frozen. We also found text messages between Ashley and her friends, Detective Williams said. After Sophie's suicide attempt, Ashley wrote to her friend Madison, Mao, what a psycho. Bet she did it for attention. When Madison expressed concern, Ashley replied, Relax, she'll be fine. Attention seekers never actually do it. But perhaps most damning, the detective said, we found evidence that Ashley knew Sophie was suicidal. On March 10th, 4 days before the attempt, Sophie sent a direct message to one of Ashley's fake accounts. Sophie wrote, I've been thinking about ending my life. Please, whoever you are, just stop. I can't take this anymore. Ashley's response, from the account Kill Sophie Chen, was, Do it. Nobody would miss you. The world would be better off. Stop being a coward and just do it already. The courtroom exploded. Sophie's father lunged toward Ashley but was restrained by bailiffs. Her mother collapsed in her seat, sobbing. Several people in the gallery were shouting. Judge Caprio banged his gavel repeatedly. Order! Order in this court! When silence finally returned, Caprio's face was a mask of controlled fury. Miss Preston, you told Sophie to kill herself after she explicitly told you she was suicidal? Ashley's carefully constructed facade crumbled. I didn't think she'd actually do it. It was online. It wasn't real. It wasn't real? Caprio's voice was ice. Sophie Chen lying in a hospital bed with a tube down her throat wasn't real. Her parents watching their daughter fight for her life wasn't real. The scars on her wrists aren't real. I didn't mean... You documented your campaign in a journal called Operation Destroy Sophie. You created 5 fake accounts to make her believe the entire world hated her. You edited her photo into pornography. You created a poll asking if she should kill herself. And when she begged you to stop, when she told you she wanted to die, you encouraged her to do it. He stood, holding the journal. This wasn't teenage cruelty, Ms. Preston. This was calculated, systematic, intentional psychological torture. You didn't bully Sophie Chen. You tried to destroy her, and you nearly succeeded. Ashley started crying, but they looked like tears of self-pity, not remorse. We also found evidence, Detective Williams added, that Ashley intimidated other students into participating. She threatened 3 girls that if they didn't join in harassing Sophie, she would make them her next target. Text messages confirm this. Caprio looked at Robert Preston. Mr. Preston, Do you still maintain this was teenage drama? Robert Preston sat silent, his face pale. Sophie, Caprio said gently, is there anything else you'd like to say? Sophie stood, her voice stronger now. Your Honor, for 7 months, every single day, I woke up to hundreds of messages telling me to die. At school, people laughed at me. At home, the messages kept coming. There was nowhere safe. I couldn't escape, even in my own bedroom. The whole world felt like it hated me. When 600 people laugh at you, when over 500 people vote that you should kill yourself, when someone edits your face onto naked bodies and sends it to everyone you know, you start to believe them. You start to think maybe they're right. Maybe the world would be better without you. I didn't want to die, Your Honor. I wanted the pain to stop, and death felt like the only way to make it stop. She looked at Ashley for the first time. You knew I was suffering. I told you. I begged you to stop, and you told me to kill myself. You didn't just bully me. You tried to murder me, and when I survived, you laughed about it. Judge Caprio let the words hang in the air for a long moment. Here is my ruling, he said finally. Ashley Preston, you are found guilty on all charges: cyberstalking, criminal harassment, and reckless endangerment. Your actions were not those of a thoughtless teenager. They were calculated, cruel, and came dangerously close to causing Sophie Chen's death. Your sentence is as follows: 2 years in juvenile detention, the maximum allowed under Rhode Island law. You will serve every day of that sentence. Ashley gasped. Her father stood to object, but Caprio held up his hand. Furthermore, you are prohibited from all social media platforms until your 25th birthday. You will wear an electronic monitoring device that will alert authorities if you attempt to access any social media. Any violation results in immediate transfer to adult prison for 5 years. You will complete 1,000 hours of community service at suicide prevention centers, where you will hear the stories of families who lost children to suicide. You will attend mandatory therapy 3 times per week, and you will personally visit 10 families who have lost children to bullying-related suicide and hear their stories. Additionally, you are prohibited from enrolling in any university without court approval. Given your acceptance to Ivy League schools, I will be forwarding this judgment to those institutions so they can make informed decisions about your admission. The Chen family is awarded $1.8 million in damages to cover Sophie's ongoing psychiatric care, medical bills, and emotional suffering. He leaned forward, his voice hard. Miss Preston, you turned words into weapons. You sent 2,742 messages, not just mean comments, but sustained psychological torture designed to break another human being. That wasn't cruelty. That was sadism. When Sophie begged you to stop, when she told you she was thinking about suicide, you didn't just ignore her. You encouraged her to do it. You told her nobody would miss her. You told her to stop being a coward and just die. Those words weren't teenage drama. They were attempted murder. You documented your plan in a journal. You called it Operation Destroy Sophie. You didn't accidentally hurt her. You deliberately, methodically, systematically tried to destroy her. And when she nearly died, you laughed. His voice rose. The internet doesn't make cruelty less real. It makes it more deadly. Because victims can't escape. When Sophie went home, the harassment followed. When she tried to sleep, the messages kept coming. You turned her entire world into a nightmare she couldn't wake up from. You want to know why this is a crime? Because Sophie Chen almost died. Because she stood on the edge of death and only survived by chance. Because your words, Your online stuff nearly put a 16-year-old girl in the ground. 2 years in detention isn't punishment, Miss Preston. It's education. It's teaching you what your parents clearly failed to teach you, that other people are real. Their pain is real. And when they die, they don't come back. You took a happy, healthy teenage girl and broke her so completely that she wanted to die. You used technology to weaponize cruelty. You recruited others to join you. And you documented it all like it was a game. Well, the game is over, and you lost. The courtroom erupted in applause. Sophie's parents held their daughter, all three of them crying. Ashley sat frozen, her perfect facade shattered completely. If this story touched your heart, if you believe judges like Frank Caprio represent the best of our justice system, please support our new channel by subscribing and liking this video. Share it with someone who needs to hear that justice and compassion can coexist. Comment below with your city. Let's build a community that believes in fairness for all. Ashley Preston served her full 2 years in juvenile detention. The Ivy League schools all revoked their acceptances. She was released at 19, her social media ban still in effect until 2030. The $1.8 million paid for Sophie's ongoing therapy and established a foundation in her name to support victims of cyberbullying. Sophie Chen is 18 now. She still struggles. The trauma doesn't disappear, but she's healing. She transferred to a new school where she made real friends. She's planning to study psychology in college, hoping to help other victims of bullying. She still has nightmares sometimes, still sees the messages when she closes her eyes. But she's alive. She survived. And that survival is a victory. The case led to Rhode Island passing Sophie's Law in 2025, legislation that classifies severe cyberbullying resulting in suicide attempts as a felony, with mandatory minimum sentences and lifetime social media bans for offenders. Judge Caprio, when asked about the harsh sentence, said simply, "Compassion isn't an exception to justice. It's the purpose. But compassion for the victim requires accountability for the perpetrator." Ashley Preston nearly killed Sophie Chen with words. That's not teenage drama. That's attempted murder, and it deserved to be treated as such. Sophie Chen still has the folder of messages. 2,700 messages telling her to die. She keeps them not as torture, but as proof. Proof that she survived when they wanted her dead. Proof that their cruelty didn't win. Proof that justice exists. And every day she wakes up alive is proof that sometimes the courtroom really is the great equalizer. Sometimes wealth and privilege don't win. Sometimes truth and justice prevail. Ashley Preston tried to destroy Sophie Chen, but Sophie is still here, still fighting, still healing, still hoping. And that's the most powerful verdict of all.